Hi there, this is Darren from PostgresCourse.com. And what I want to do today is give you a quick demonstration of a few ways we can dump data out of a Postgres database and into a file. This is, of course, going to be based on a Linux based system and just doing a very simple ETL operation of dumping data, putting it into a common text file. So in many cases, DBAs have to do this, and there's two options to do it in Postgres. One, we could actually do this from the Linux command line without even entering into the Postgres interactive terminal. So I'll show you a case where I do that, how simple it is, and kind of give you some real world examples of when I would do that. The second way is actually from the pSQL interactive terminal. I'm going to describe my reasons for doing that more commonly and show you some helpful options along the way. So let's look at number one first. Just so you know what is going on here, I have a database called Baltimore. So there's a regular connection string for a database called Baltimore. I could hit enter here and enter the pSQL interactive terminal, but I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to add this -c option, and I like to think of -c as command. Basically, I'm passing this command into the pSQL interactive terminal, and it's sending me back the output to standard out, which is in this case my terminal. So I'm just going to do something simple like select star from the only table in this database is employees. I'll hit enter. All right, prompts me for password, and notice all the data is pushed to my standard out. Okay, so pretty simple, right? But that does not yet create a file. So if you've attended courses with PostgresCourse.com or you've been using Postgres for any amount of time, you probably realize that it does a great job of working with standard Linux command line features like redirectors. So I'll just make a little simple redirector character, and I'll say send that output to all employees.sql, or we'll make it text because it's not SQL. And then there's my output in a file on my system now. So I normally do that type of dump using the pSQL command with a -c to pass an actual SQL query. I do the -c only in cases where I have a very simple query. Because once my query gets a little bit more complicated, I'm going to make mistakes, I'm going to have typos, I'm going to want to experiment with different things. And so I really want the full features of the pSQL interactive terminal. Let me show you a couple. So for instance, let's say I want to do that same query, but I want to make it a little bit more complicated. Say I want to do select star from employees where job title is like chief. All right, so show me anyone who has the word chief in their title. And now I get this list. Now notice the annual salary and gross pay columns. Those are in an actual currency data type. So for those, I need to pass some quotes. So let's look for all people whose job title is like chief, who's making more than $100,000 per year. Now you could look at this and you could tell that there's opportunities for me to make mistakes here. There's also a number of single quotes involved, and from the command line that could get tricky to escape the quotes correctly. So it's nice to be working on the full pSQL interactive terminal here. Also, if I want to go back and edit that, I have the full use of the query buffer. So now the question is, okay, let's say that I just simply work here in the pSQL interactive terminal. How do I get that data actually out? It's so simple. \o. \o will toggle my output and either allow me to send it to a file or to have it here inside my interactive terminal. So if I just do \o and I say pSQL out.txt, from this point forward, any output that would normally come back to my interactive terminal will actually go into that file. So I issue the query. Now that data is in the file. Let's go check that. There it is. That simple. And what's interesting is I could continue to go ahead and experiment with different options as I output that data. So let me do a different output file. Let's send it to output2.txt. And let's do a query this time. And let's say I don't want any spacing here. So notice that Postgres pads the columns so that they're nice and aligned. So I'll go \A to turn off the alignment, because the alignment could actually be a problem if I'm going to put this into another file or another system where it's going to pull in that data. I'm going to have to deal with those extra spaces at some point. So now let me issue a query and exit and look at output 2. Now in output 2, I have a nice type delimited file with no extra spaces on any columns. Down here, you see I still have output from Postgres about the number of rows. That can again be done away with by using the \T option, which will give me tuples only. There's a lot of options, and we go through them all in our class on PostgresCourse.com. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any other questions, feel free to message me via YouTube or visit PostgresCourse.com, sign up for a class, or ask additional questions there on our message board.